Well, hey everybody, what is up? Welcome to another episode of Gamer Disclaimer. My name is Mag, and of course, beside me here is Wade, and we are pumped to have another episode of our show. We're up to 13 now, so hopefully this is not an unlucky one for us, Wade. But how the heck are you? I haven't talked to you in a little while.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute. I wanted to bust in since we're so fresh with a Nickelodeon-esque like mag to really grab your attention, pull you back in.
I'm back. I may be a little
Yeah.
sleep deprived because baby is now here, but honestly, everything's been pretty good. She's a pretty chill kid, and sleeping wise, I'm more on Harrison duty, so I'm kind of just like resting up to make sure I have energy to hang out with him all day. But everything is good in the Megstead house, and everything is good because we are back to filming the show. So, yeah. Anyway, how are you? What's up?
Peachy Keen, Jelly Bean. Am I the only one that's been playing video games that I need to report on the games that I've played over this extended break for us, but only a 1 week break for all the everybody else's? I see
Yeah.
that the videos have been dropping every Wednesday, which is it's been nice, I'm sure.
Yes.
At least I put them on.
We
Listen
did
to myself
videos.
speak.
Yes. No, I played a few games. I downloaded some for the hospital, and then I also have got a few other ones that are easy to play and short because I might be needed at a moment's notice. And so I played through the first little bit of Kingdom Hearts 1. So I got that Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, and a bunch of other ones. So I played through a little bit of that in the hospital, which is cool. Just revisiting, an old classic. And I've been playing a little bit of Rocket League again because it is a game I can play on the PS5, and so I'm a little bit more available when I'm upstairs. So, and then of course I was feeling inspired from our last episode, and I did dive into Fall Guys, which as of today, in filming, they just released Ranked Knockout. So I might have to anything that has a ranked playlist. I'm a sucker for it, so I might have to sink some hours into that. But all of the maps that I played were from the first 3 to 4 seasons, and so that was a little bit refreshing. So yeah, what about you? What have you been playing on our internal behind the scenes break?
Um, it looks like I'm just creeping on my achievement list over here. I know that I was playing some Picross, and when you were talking about what you were playing, I thought that I should get back into. Well, I've never played Kingdom Hearts, but I own it. I'd be playing it on a PlayStation 2, so
Ooh,
I might be checking that out. And then I think I was trying to convince you that we should do a Super Mario Odyssey replay, which
yeah,
might be happening.
I
We'll see
forgot
when we
about
see.
that. Yeah, Odyssey and Jamboree. Been playing a little bit of that as well. Sorry to.
Yeah. No, you're fine. So I played a free game on Xbox called Fuzzball. It was not a great game. I would say that it's like a sumo-like in that. Well, speaking of Mario Party, like, do you remember the Mario Party game where everybody was balancing on top of the beach balls on like an island, and you had to try and knock everybody else off? That's this whole game is just things knocking into each other to try and knock them off of a stage,
Hmm.
basically. The final boss in that game felt like a Dark Souls boss. Like it was just terribly more difficult than the entire rest of the game combined. Like the difficulty curve completely spiked and went absolutely crazy.
Hmm.
So I played that, got 1,000 out of 1,000, and deleted it off of my Xbox.
So yeah.
I also tricked my friend Jazz into playing a Halo Infinite co-op campaign with me. So we knocked that entire game. I now have 100%ed everything on that game and was all too happy to uninstall it because it took up a tremendous footprint with the download on my Xbox.
Yeah.
So happy to be rid of that as well.
Hmm.
And I've been playing some Elden Ring as well. I think I've gotten through maybe like 2 or 3 more bosses since last time. Just kind of taking my sweet time with it, really enjoying things. So
Cool. Shout out to your cat in the background, as y'all can see, moving around. Hello.
big chill. Jake, go.
The third co-host is your cat.
Yeah, he came pre-named from the shelter. He's a spoopy cat, so his name is Jack O'Lantern. That's his full
Ah,
Christian name, but we just call him Jack.
there you go. Cool. Cats are great. We love cats. All right, cool. Well, we are basically going to be doing a part 2 today of our Switch 2 conversation from one of our previous episodes. And so the first episode we talked about, basically we talked about just that it was announced and what kind of we were hoping for and expectations and things. And today they did the Nintendo Direct as a filming day, which will be a week out from when this airs. And they had an hour long Nintendo Direct about the Switch 2. And so they covered a lot of different stuff. It was very informative. And so Wade and I have not discussed anything about any of this stuff previously. So this is just a completely first brand new fresh conversation that we're having about it. And so we have a few different things we're going to highlight, different like categories, but this will drift off into a lot of different things, I'm sure. And then we'll end with our final takes and things like that. So yeah,
There are some prerequisite materials. Please do not watch this episode without having watched the Nintendo Switch Direct, or you might be very confused because we're gonna just make sweeping comments at things that we've already seen with the expectation that you've already seen it. So
yeah.
if we were different kinds of YouTube or podcaster peoples, we would do like a watch along live thing. But no, we can hit the broad strokes. We'll be fine.
So let's start off, Wade, with just the overall first impression of the hardware, the demoing of the new Joy-Cons, and all sorts of different things of that nature. Bigger screen, all that jazz. So you go first.
I mean, we knew a lot of that stuff already, the form factor of it and the bigger screen. I think that we were all pretty sure that it was magnets that were holding them on there, and now that was kind of confirmed within it as well. The built-in microphone, I guess that's interesting and nice. The kickstand, though I didn't really use the kickstand very much on my Switch, probably because it's not a great kickstand. I guess that's more beneficial for certain things. Plus, with the bigger screen, I don't know enough about the technology of all of these things, and I would literally just play a GameCube game and not realize that the graphics weren't as good as a next gen game unless somebody commented on it and told me about them. But I believe it's kind of like comparable with most Steam Decks. I believe with the 4K. Is that in handheld or 1080p or what are they pumping out with those kind of things?
Yeah, so I'm not 100% sure. I actually think it's better because it's 4K 60 frames and then it's 120 1080, and so that I think that's better than what a Steam Deck can do. I think that's a pretty significant leap. I think prerequisiting all of the things I'm going to say. If you watch the first episode, I was very negative saying it was a Switch 1 Pro. But I think after seeing the specs that I am very much so changed my opinion on, okay, like this is actually a next-gen console that is comparable to what is currently available on the market, which kind of caught me by surprise, to be honest. Because I was thinking like, oh, like everyone's saying, oh, it's going to be like the same as like a PS4. But honestly, it's nicer. It's better than that. Like, it's almost like, I mean, and who knows what, they might use like AI to like help enhance those graphics and things. But yeah, so in terms of that, I thought I was very surprised. I think the mouse stuff, like, it's kind of cool, but like who's going to actually use that? Like, unless you're sitting at a desk playing it on a monitor, like, it's really, really weird to me to like, oh yeah, and you can use it as a mouse, but it's like, well, I'm sitting on my couch, So the mouse stuff is not very appealing to me, really at all. I mean, it's a cool little thing for sure. The thing that I think is the most dumb is the C button. Like, they made such a big deal about every controller now has the C button, and you can tap it to mute yourself, and yada, yada, yada. Personally, I would have liked to see them just have, like, Discord integration, and then maybe, like, headset integration. But they have their own camera, and the controller has a microphone in it, kind of like the PlayStation controllers. And to me, it's just like, because they're Nintendo, they have to do things their own way. And I'm sure it's maybe like more geared towards like kids and families and things. But then also, when we get into other things, it's like, this is the kid system for everybody, but no, it's not, because it's expensive and it can do all sort and do a lot of different things that Nintendo consoles haven't for a while. So, what do you think about like the mouse and the C button and all that stuff?
Um, I don't want to get too much into games yet, but I do want to highlight the one game that they did, which was called Drag and Drive, which is played with dual mouse controllers, and it is
Yeah.
wheelchair basketball, but like sort of Rocket League.
That's what I thought too.
I have no interest in playing that game. However, it is the most Nintendo-iest game about it, where it's like, we made these mouse controllers and you have two of them, and this is what you can do with it. It
Yeah.
simulates driving a wheelchair.
I,
Which, I mean, it's something that's interesting, I guess. It's in the same vein as when they announced the original Switch and they showed all of the things that the IR sensor could do on the bottom of it. Like in 1-2 Switch, there was like a sandwich eating contest where you would hold the Switch Joy-Con up to your mouth and point the IR sensor at it and then go as quickly as you could, and it would determine how many sandwiches you would eat. Like,
Wow.
just the gimmickiest little feature with these kind of things. In regards to that illustrious C button, we know what it does now. Amazing. Aren't you impressed that it knows when somebody's making a smoothie? And it will filter out the background noise? I don't know how well it'll do at filtering out other people talking. That seems a little silly to me.
yeah.
And how about that camera that comes with it? So, is this the kind of thing that you want me to be playing docked or in handheld? Because if I'm playing it handheld, in what world am I having a camera set up to be pointed at my face in some kind of a position that's going to be beneficial for me to work out for something like that? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It feels like a lot of the things that the Nintendo Switch is doing are, I won't say mistakes or missteps, but history repeats itself with these kind of things. When the Xbox One initially launched with the the boxed-in Kinect, like you had to get the new version of the Kinect. That was, camera that was always on that had face tracking and a microphone that was always on and ready to be listening to you for these kind of commands. I know it's not a one-to-one comparison, but I just thought there was some interesting parallels, especially with the way that they were highlighting the way that the camera was being used to put your face specifically in a little bubble for like Mario Party, so you can keep track of who's playing as Yoshi and who's playing as Birdo, those kind of things. I'm curious if that camera does independent face tracking on like all four people sitting on a couch, if that is the case, or if it's only one per player. But time will tell. We'll see when we see. Did we want to talk about the game screen sharing in the same vein as that conversation of the voice chat? Because it seemed like there's also sort of video chat where you all can be sharing your screens and showing the same thing that's going on. And by goodness almighty, did that look rough. It was just like so choppy.
Like 15 frames. Yeah.
15. You're being pretty generous with the double digits there. I think it was more like 9.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. I mean, like, the thing to me is like, yes, like this stuff is all cool, but like, maybe I'm just like a PC snob, but I'm like, you can just do all this on a computer, and it's way easier.
Right.
You
You could use a mouse on your computer too if you wanted to. That's an
Yeah.
option that's available to you.
Yeah, and I think like it's an interesting blend into like, things are getting more like PC in general, of just like, oh, like cameras and screen sharing, and I just have a hard time. Like, I think it's great for like families Like if families want a game share, you know, like we can game share now in the same room, and only one person needs a copy, and blah. Like there's a lot of cool things, and like I feel like this is probably a good transition, but like
Well, wait, way to go back about the game share though, because I have things to say about that as well too.
okay, we'll circle back to it, but
All right.
what I'm saying is like this thing is cool, but the price point is absolutely bonkers to me.
Say it out loud.
So their Switch one was $300, and the OLED was $350, which that felt like a lot, right? A digital PS5 as of right now is $400, and if you get the disc version, it's $450. This Switch, just the console, is $450, and if you get a game with it, that there is a package, it's $500, right? And so the conversation I had with my buddy Joel, who was really pumped about the Switch 2 and then was really sad after the thing that aired today, is like Nintendo, at least I would say in the past 15 years, has always been like the console that is affordable, that you can get for your kids, and like you can have, each kid can have their own Switch, and like mom can buy it for the kids for Christmas, like, you know, that's what you're saying. But at like $400, right? Or $450, and then like, you know, games being potentially 80 to 90, controllers being 80 to 90, like the web camera $50. I mean, at this point it's like, my gosh, like at least with the PlayStation, like you get a controller at $70, that's expensive, and the games are like 60, but like they have so much additional things that you can buy to do all these things that they're advertising, that you're gonna have $700-800 sunk into this thing before you're actually like really getting like a good use out of it, right? Like how are you gonna game share with your brother or sister if you got to spend $1,000 on 2 consoles? Like that just does not. Like, I feel like they're just sending like such mixed signals with all this, and so which my final point, we'll put all this together at some point, but that's what I'm saying, which we can go back to the game sharing. Like I think it's cool and it's really good, like for the Switch 1, which was $300, but at $450 to $500, like man, like that's expensive. Like to me.
The game sharing is for specific games that support it, of which I doubt that they showed more than 5 of them on the screen at the time.
Yeah.
With one of them being Clubhouse games, which you really don't need another screen to be doing those kind of things. But as soon as I saw that, I was like, you literally could do this as a feature on like the DS and the 3DS.
That's what I thought of. Mario Kart on the bus. One person has it and you play DS. Yes, I thought of the DS. Exactly.
And granted, the caveat with Mario Kart DS specifically was that if you did not have a copy of the game, you were forced to play as Shy Guy. So I hope you like Shy Guy. You didn't get to pick the character that you played as. But still, you could race on every single one of the tracks. And I think it was even more robust in the 3DS, where it was that 3DS download play, where you could just, you know, get another copy. I didn't have a lot of time in Mario Kart 7. I'm guessing that you didn't either. But I think that also had a very similar feature where you could play even if you didn't have a copy of it, if you were in close proximity to somebody else for those sorts of things. Like, it is interesting, but it's a thing that had existed for so long, and I don't think that it's doing it any better. Same with, like, I was joking that we're like at PlayStation 2 and Xbox levels of communication now with the C button. The C button has done it. It's brought us up to those levels that we were at previously. Speaking of the hardware and the possible costs that you might have to sink into it, if your dock gets knocked off of the entertainment stand, which could happen at any point in time, I think you mentioned that the replacement dock is like $110 because it's got a built-in fan into it to keep things cool, to keep performance high, you know?
Yeah.
While we're rolling them on the concept of money, if we can talk about that as well with the games, the wonderful Welcome Tour game for the Nintendo Switch 2,
Yeah.
which The nearest parallel that we can come to is Astro's Playroom, which was like showing off all of the features of the PS5 controller.
Hmm.
Or if it was a pack-in game like Wii Sports, which showed all of the things that it can do, but it is not a pack-in game.
Nope.
You have to pay some amount of money for it, and it doesn't look terribly interesting to me. I'll gladly be proven wrong, and I don't know what the price point is going to be at. Like if it's 10, 20 bucks, maybe that might be it. You know, that's just feels like squeezing a little bit of extra money out of people. It feels 100% like it should be a pack-in to me.
Yeah, for sure.
The new Pro Controller looks fine. It has the C button on it, very important. We love the C button, and
Love it.
those back buttons that you can program to anything. So now you've got, excellent controllers for those things. Did you look much into the Nintendo Switch 2 editions of games?
Yeah, so that was probably going to be my segue or into games, right? So I know something that you were really curious about from our last episode was, hey, I have Tears of the Kingdom. Hey, I have Breath of the Wild. Do I get a better frame rate, a better version of this game on the Switch 2? What does this look like? Yada, yada, yada. They did not share any of the price points on that, but on select games, I think it was Kirby, both Legend of Zeldas, and then there's like the Metroid Prime one, but that's not a previous one. But my thoughts were the previous ones. You have to pay X amount of dollars to get a Switch 2 version of a Switch game that you already own. So if you want it to look better or have a higher frame rate, you have to pay, I don't know how much.
I don't know if that's entirely true, because I feel like the Legend of Zelda games will play on the Switch 2, but there are those additional. They'll play on the Switch 2, obviously, because
Sure.
it's backwards compatible with these kind of things.
Yep.
You might get some of the graphical improvements, but they're trying to incentivize you with those other features. I haven't dug into this, so I don't know enough to know if it's all or nothing. Like, if you're playing the non-Nintendo Switch 2 edition of a game on a Switch 2, is it just that version, or are you getting any of the upgrades? So, they haven't announced a Nintendo Switch 2 edition of Mario Odyssey. So if I play that and they patch in improved graphics or a higher frame rate for those kind of things, then do you just get that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the other features that they were talking about with these upgrade packs, so like Mario Party, it looks like it was adding on 3 different modes. Kirby and the Forgotten Land, it looks like it was adding on an additional world to explore, at the very least, in addition to the other things that are coming up. And then Zelda was showing things about using a phone companion app to help you navigate the world, and
Yeah,
it'll
I saw that.
give you a little narration when you enter an area. I mean, neat, but is it the kind of thing that's going to motivate me to go back and play these things? The big thing for me is, if it's not going to be free, I need to know what the price point is. And
Yeah.
for me, I feel like the sweet spot probably in that $10, $20 range, but I don't know what they're actually going to do.
Yeah, I don't know either. And I hate to say this because obviously these companies are they're incentivized to make money, but as we talk about these things, and kind of my general thought was just it's just more money and more money and more money and more money, and it's just
Makes the world go round, baby.
it just feels like it could be a huge money sink. Okay, well, I bought a Switch and I bought all these games, and now I have to pay $10 to $20 per game to get the Switch 2 version. Then I paid $500 to get my Switch 2 with Mario Kart World, and then I paid $50 for this camera, and then I paid this $90 to have two extra Joy-Cons, and it's just I don't know. It just feels a little greedy, and obviously we're much past the days of Halo 2 DLC. It was hey, you get a bunch of maps, it's $10, but I don't know. I think I'm back.
There's an entire another conversation to be had about how video gaming has sort of staved off increasing inflation for a very long time.
Yeah, it really has.
and they've tried to supplement that. This could be a whole topic for a whole other episode on its own, where like they've tried to supplement with these DLC packages or even your full $60 releases that have so many additional upgrades that you can get. Day one version where you throw in an extra $30 and you can play the game 3 days earlier. Not the Ubisoft model when those things come around.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, dollars and cents make the world go around, friend. There's nothing new. I am not happy to hear that games can apparently cost up to $80 digitally and $90 physically. I do like to see a separation between those two things, though, because it should be cheaper to buy something digitally than physically, unless they're trying to clear out the stock on these kind of things. You know what I mean? Like, there's no manufacturing costs that go into a digital download.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just get it.
Yeah. It's interesting because I know, so Joel and I talk about games a lot, and he was talking about how GTA 6 might be $60 when it releases or even $100. But, I did not think the Switch 2 was going to be the thing that resets the gaming price market. Because,
Well, do you remember you didn't get... Well, no, you did get Tears of the Kingdom around launch or at launch. That was 70.
I mean...
So where 60 was the main price point, 70 was what they were just trying, I guess, to float the idea. And because too many of us bought Tears of the Kingdom, now they decided they can push the envelope even further.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It just feels crazy to me. I mean, N64 used to be like $100 to $150. I know it's like inflation and times are different, but anyway, speaking of games transitioning, Mario Kart World seems to be their big one. I think biggest letdown was no announcement for 3D Mario. One, because that was my first pick in Fantasy Critics. So hoping that still happens. And I feel like every system for the most part has launched with a Mario game. And so I'm not losing hope on it. But for me personally, I would not be incentivized to buy a Switch 2 based on the launch titles. But that is because I own a PC, and most of the games that are the launch titles that are going to be launching with it, the biggest thing that stood out to me, and this will lead into my final take at some point, but they are putting their foot into the modern market. Before they were well, we're the Mario console and the indie games and our own first party things. But Elden Ring, Borderlands 4, all these different games that are going to be coming out or have been coming out on new stuff and require some decent graphics to play. The fact that they're going all in on the 4K 60, the 1080 120, and they have games that you need some guts to play, tells me that they are now transitioning from, hey, we were the cheap kid console, indie game console, to, hey, we're going to put our foot back into the ring of competition with the PlayStations, the Xboxes, and it feels like they're transitioning back into that market, which is also part of the price point of hey, we're making a console that is competitive games-wise, hardware-wise, with a PS5. Thus, it is going to cost the same as what a PS5 costs. But I don't know. The DK game looked kind of cool, but The Mario Kart looks cool, but I don't want to go drive around open worlds with my buddies. That wasn't very intriguing to me. But anyway, tell me about the games.
We're muddying the waters between you don't want to go and just drive around in a Mario Kart world, but you give Harrison the opportunity to just drive a cart across the snow level, the desert level, the jungle level, he's corner to corner, map to map. The thing never stops. He'd love it. He'd eat that right up.
Yeah.
As somebody who sunk a lot of time into the Forza Horizon games, which are that kind of open world racing game, I think that it's gonna crush it. It's gonna be great. I'm in no rush to play it at launch initially. Like I said, I don't know if I'm going to need a Switch until 2026, where there's at least 3 to 4 must-have games that I need to play on it. Donkey Kong, might be one of them. I brought visual aids today as well, because I also needed to say, well, okay, I have a note here that says, what does the tarnished edition of Elden Ring mean? Is it a lesser version of Elden Ring? Is it not including the Shadow of the Erdtree expansion? What does it mean? Is it just this is the one that's on the Switch? I don't know. But I did see the lineup for the Nintendo Switch Online GameCube games. So here's the visual aids.
That is
I need
cool.
to put this up here and say, rip for us ever getting the Wii U version of Zelda Wind Waker ported to the Switch. With this, I would consider it to be the final nail in the coffin that it's just never going to happen, which is a far superior version. Maybe they'll put in this version on the Nintendo Switch GameCube Online, or whatever it is that we're calling it, some of the quality of life improvements that they added in the Wii U version, where it was a fast sale, I think, but you could come up with those things as well. Soul Calibur 2 with apparently online support. Very cool.
Yep.
I spent not a tremendous amount of time playing Soul Calibur 2, but it was our tester game at Rock 30 back in the day for GameCube controllers.
Yep.
So I would have to, just play a quick match and make sure that all the buttons worked as intended. And even without the online components, I'm very excited for a new generation to be able to play F-Zero GX, which is just a super fast and frenetic racing game that is it's high quality. It's very good.
Yeah.
The trailer for that Daemon X Machina game, I mean, it looked cool. It just made me want to play like Bayonetta 2 or 3 games that I already have, those kind of things. The new Zelda game looked interesting to me. I don't think you played much of Tears of the Kingdom to get too invested in the story, but all that it reminded me was that I probably should play Hyrule Warriors and Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Like, I can sink so much time into those before December. So if nothing else, it reminded me that there are excellent games that I already, should be playing. And then, Meg, did you see the biggest announcement in the Nintendo Switch 2? Fortnite confirmed.
Fortnite. Yep.
Can you believe it? That they would be willing to put Fortnite on this little console. Can it make it? Will it make it? Who knows?
Did you see I think it's interesting From Software made that exclusive game.
Yeah, that's the internet. So again, we watched it this morning. We're recording tonight on April 2nd. So I don't have much of the internet leaking its opinions into my ear, but people are already a little upset that Bloodborne is trapped on the PS4.
Yep.
And now this other FromSoft game likely will be trapped on the Switch.
Yep. Yeah, but it's interesting to me that publishers are willing to create exclusives for it that are not Nintendo. So, I don't know. Interesting. Let me look and see what I have in my notes here before we... before we go into our final takes or things, I don't think that Mario Kart World is a system seller, personally. I think it is cool, but like the 3D Mario games, the 2D Mario games have always been the system sellers at launch. And Mario Kart has always felt like a supplemental game. And so like the fact that they're kind of like going all in, like they're having a Mario Kart World Direct, like to highlight the game, it's just puzzling to me that like if they're going to go all in, they're going all in this thing. Why are they not launching with a Mario title? Because they have with every other console pretty much. I mean, going all the way back. So I don't know.
I agree with your personal opinions, but if you are looking at what game sold the most on Nintendo Switch, it's Mario Kart 8. So whether it's a system seller or not, it was a system seller the last generation. Why wouldn't they bet on black once again?
We'll see.
You are allowed to have your personal opinion, but I really think that Mario Kart, as much as I would prefer to have seen, Odyssey 2 or a new mainline Mario game that isn't even Odyssey. We do have DK Bonanza, which is a fun title. Also confirms that sometimes DK wears pants, sometimes he doesn't.
His
just depends on the day.
His visual.
Sometimes he's just he's Donald Ducking it.
Yeah.
No Diddy. Donkey Kong made a noise which sounded like Maui from Moana, which was a little unusual. Caught me off guard. It looks fun. Like you just destroy everything under the sun. The last that Kirby and the Forgotten Land, again, that was kind of sort of the transition between 2D to 3D. Though there have been 3D Donkey Kong games before. You know, most famously Donkey Kong 64. It looks fun. Like
Kirby
you're
Air
destroying
Riders.
everything.
Yeah. I don't know. All right. Are you ready for my hot take?
Yeah, the hottest.
All right. So, did a lot of reflecting on all this, and my opinion was pretty negative in our last episode. After seeing all of this, I think that Nintendo is very smart and they're geniuses. The reason that I say that is because okay, so I think this is the perfect time for them to jump back into the console market, right? Because when they had the GameCube come out, it wasn't as powerful as the Xbox. It didn't have Halo. The PlayStation 2 is like one of the goats, right? And it just was kind of like underwhelming to some people and just didn't sell great. But here's the thing. The market is primed and ready for a Nintendo comeback because Xbox is exiting and PlayStation has gotten lazy. Okay? So PlayStation, what have they always had over Nintendo, especially like the PS5 over the Switch? Better hardware, better graphics, and exclusives, right? So let's look at PlayStation exclusives, first party. They have, your Last of Us, they have your God of Wars, they have things like that. But they're releasing like one, maybe two games like a year, right? Because they have no competition. They have gotten lazy. And Xbox has just said, hey, we're out. Everything's an Xbox. Peace out. Game Pass for life. And so Nintendo said, hey, we're going to put out a console that has the same specs and hardware as the PS5, right? So now that is a level playing field. And they have multiple thriving first-party IPs. They have Zelda, Kirby, Mario Kart, Donkey Kong. Like, because PlayStation has a bunch of these, but they're just dead. Like, when's the last time they made a Jak and Daxter game? It's dead. When's the last time they made, like, PS2 had all these great, like, Spyro and Crash and all these great, like, great IPs, and they are all just in purgatory forever. So Nintendo comes into the market. They make a console that is competitive with the Steam Deck to get the Steam Deck people out of the way. It's better than the Steam Deck. And it has better first-party exclusives. And now they're getting all the other games that PlayStation and their competitors are getting, Borderlands 4 and Elden Ring. And they're getting their own exclusive games from Software. So I think that Nintendo, even though I will not be buying a Switch 2 anytime soon, I have no desire to have one because I have a PC and I'm just not interested in the exclusives at this moment. I think that this is the perfect time for them to get back into that competitive market to challenge PlayStation for the title. I think that my initial take was like, oh, well, it's still just not going to be as good as a PlayStation, and so they're always just going to be the lesser. But they went ahead and they said, nah, forget that. We're going to make a giga beast of a system that does everything the first one did great, but we're going to make it equally as good from a hardware standpoint as our competition. Plus, we have all of the stuff that has carried us in the past to come along with it. And I think I don't know if the only thing is like the price is expensive, so we'll see, because that's kind of a stigma of like, oh, well, Nintendo's getting greedy and expensive. But that's my hot take. I think that they were really smart to make this thing an absolute beast and get their foot back in the door of being a competitor of the PlayStation, because Xbox is out and PlayStation has gotten lazy. And now is the time for them to jump and pounce on them. That's my take. Sorry.
I'll pick my jaw up off the floor. I'm always surprised by the things that you have to say when it comes to this kind of stuff. You made a lot of excellent points. I would say that it feels like the number of PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series games that also were released on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One leaves me with a bit of a feeling that we've kind of plateaued with graphics, and it kind of left a door open for Nintendo to be like, well, if we actually just focus on graphics this time to get on board with where the other systems are at, we're going to have a lot more console parity when being compared to other systems. So I agree with you completely that now is the time for them to try and put their foot in the door. With the choppiness of that game screen sharing that I saw, and the fact that, well, I mean, the Nintendo Switch was a potato, a lovely potato, but a potato nonetheless, where like sometimes even in like the Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening and the Echoes of Wisdom games, where it had no reason to, sometimes that thing would just chug. So I'm very curious if we're going to see those same kind of frame rate dips, or if that is something that they have prioritized to make sure that it's not going to be the case this time around. I hope that they have made it a high priority, because that would be a devastating blow if, you were trying to run Elden Ring and it was not at least on par, at the very least, with how consistently a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One could be running that kind of game. Dum 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 dum.
What are your final thoughts on it?
I'm in no rush to get a Switch because I do not, though I am in arguably the best financial situation of my life and money is no object, I would like to have a reason. You know what I mean? Like, we picked up. I still half regret picking up a PS5, aside from the fact that I played Astrobot on it, because the other games that I played on it, I'm fairly certain all came out on the friggin' PS4. Like, I think we picked it up because the wife wanted to play Horizon Forbidden West, and that also could have been played on the PS4, but I don't know. We just decided to get it. So we didn't get a PS5 at launch. I'm also curious to see, what the demand will be. Maybe I'll have different opinions in the heat of the summer. Maybe I'll really think that I need to pick one up. But yeah, I think it was a good presentation. I had not thought about the comments that you made about how, like, this is Nintendo stepping out of, because the Wii was everybody's second console. You either had a PlayStation 3 or an Xbox 360, and then you had a Wii, and everybody also had a Wii. And then there were people that just had a Wii, the filthy casuals when it comes to stuff like that. And the Switch was everybody's second thing that they had. Maybe they had a PC, maybe they had a PlayStation 5, maybe they had an Xbox Series console, and then they also had a Switch. Sometimes they had multiple Switches in their homes, So I think, and I can agree with you on this, that they are trying to make a stab at that more mainstream market. The future will tell. It is interesting. It is bright. We like to think of Nintendo as this infallible giant that can make no errors, but they did make the Wii U, so let's not forget. They had no idea how to follow up the Wii, so they went with the Wii U, and it was terrible. This looks to be a much better step in the right direction to moving forward from their most successful console in the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, for sure. I think my opinion I'm still conflicted on, they're giving mixed messages of, hey, play Mario Party with this webcam, but also we're making games that are really good and can play like really high frame rates and be competitive with, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, but I think I'm more intrigued. I'm not more excited about it, but I am more intrigued than I was before, and I'm much more curious to see how this plays out. And I am very happy that they did not create the Switch One Pro. Like, this actually does feel like a significant upgrade from their first console that is 8 years old. So it's just my opinion. So cool.
All right. Well, this has been Gamer Disclaimer Switch 2 Episode 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Woo!
The sequel The same show, same topic, episode 2. We'll see if maybe we have some more revisit episodes in the future.
Tell us about the achievement of the week, Wade. We went a little
The
long.
achievement of the week comes from, like I mentioned, I cleaned up all the achievements in Halo Infinite, and the achievement that I have here is called You, Me, Same Page. And it was a co-op achievement earned by destroying all the cooling towers at dig site within 60 seconds of each other. And it was fun because Jazz and I got to dig site, and I'm like, all right, so let's plan this out. Like, there's 2 towers on the left, there's 2 towers on the right. Like, we got to take them out as quickly as possible. And I think that they like lowered the cooling towers into the ground if you didn't destroy them quickly enough. And Jazz is like, just shoot, ready, go. And we did it, and it was just over in an instant. It took us, 5 seconds instead of 60 seconds. It was just flip the switch. It was all done.
I am happy that
So
you're...
again, the achievement name, which you always like, the names. You, me, same page.
Same page. I'm happy you got to play through Infinite. I have not played through the campaign of any of the Halos past 3. So maybe
Played
someday.
the good ones. You played Reach?
I haven't played through the campaign of Reach.
What?
I know, it's really good. Anyway.
It's real good.
So, Song of the Week is a old school classic from one of my favorite games of all time that I've never really talked about here on the show too much. But Star Fox 64, one of my favorite games, and just super fun. And so, many great songs from that game and its previous title of just Star Fox. But nothing gets me amped up like the Star Wolf theme when you're fighting Star Wolf and his cronies. And you have the the drums coming through, which you will hear if you listen to the end of this episode. So we're going to be listening to the Star Wolf theme from Star Fox 64 for our Song of the Week. So in honor of Nintendo, we'll pick a Nintendo game and everything. So cool.
Let me give you some sound bites. I think I played more of the Super Nintendo one than the Star Fox 64. So I think they all had actual voices, right, in the N64 one. But like on the Super Nintendo one, at the start of every mission, or maybe only the beginning of the very game, where it's like, "Good luck."
Yeah.
Remember that? Yeah.
Mhm.
And then you had a little.
I did not.
No?
In 64,
Not ringing
they
the
don't
bell?
have that.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
64 is so good. You got to play it. It's so good. Ugh, I love it.
Well, isn't it just like a remake of the Super Nintendo one as well? I feel like they've just remade that game over and over.
I mean,
every time.
I think it is, but you can go on different paths and like, I don't know.
You could do that
It's
in the
just,
Super Nintendo one.
it's cool. I've never played the Super Nintendo one, so I can't give a
I
definitive
don't
answer.
know if I have the N64 copy of Star Fox. I might have to seek it out.
Yeah, or you could just play it on your Switch
Maybe a
online.
Rumble Pack. Oh,
Yeah.
that's true. I don't pay for the Ultra
Ultra.
Special. All right. This has been episode 13, unlucky for some, of Gamer Disclaimer. I'm Wade. He's Meg. It's been a good one, and we'll see ya in the next one. Peace.
Bye.